Most women think that after 60, desire simply fades, like a candle that's burned too long. They tell themselves it's age, or that something inside them just switched off. But what if it's not gone at all? What if your body is simply whispering in a new language, one that no one ever taught you how to hear? Because here's a quiet truth: your body isn't broken, it's rewired. And the very hormone that once kept your skin soft, your sleep deep, and your desire alive has been slowly retreating, redrawing the map of pleasure without your permission. Low estrogen doesn't just touch your mood or your energy, it touches everything that makes intimacy feel good. And when those tiny changes add up, pleasure starts to feel different, distant, or even painful. Welcome back to the Female Health Podcast, where we help women rediscover what their bodies are still capable of, no matter the decade. I'm Dr. Leah Parker, and today we're uncovering 6 hidden reasons why low estrogen can quietly steal your spark after 60, and how you can call it back. Stay with me until the end, because the final reason might surprise you. It's the one most women never connect to desire, yet it changes everything. But first, let's start where most women first notice the shift, not in the mind, but in the skin. The most intimate skin you have. When estrogen levels fall for years after menopause, the tissue around the vagina and vulva thins. The natural moisture that once flowed easily begins to disappear. The pH rises, the balance of bacteria shifts, and the result can be a dryness that feels almost cruel. You might notice that lubrication doesn't last, or that friction feels sharper, more burning than before. For some women, even gentle touch starts to sting. The brain learns quickly, pain means no, and soon the body begins to avoid what used to bring joy. Desire doesn't die, it's simply conditioned to protect you. But here's the part few women are ever told: the same hormone that left can also return locally. When estrogen is reintroduced through a small vaginal cream, tablet, or ring, the tissues start to thicken again. Moisture returns, the pH softens back toward balance. It's not magic, it's biology remembering how to breathe. As one of my patients once told me, the first time it didn't hurt, I cried, because my body finally said yes again. And that yes, that's where desire begins to rebuild. Because pain kills libido, but comfort revives it. Stay with me, because what happens next isn't about the body at all, it's about the brain. There's a switch up there that once sparked wanting without effort. And when estrogen fades, that switch doesn't break, it simply moves. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. There's a moment many women describe, often with a mix of confusion and guilt. They say, "I still love my partner, I still enjoy touch, but I just don't feel that spark anymore." It's as if desire used to rise from nowhere, a gentle wave, easy and natural, and now it has to be invited, coaxed, almost negotiated with. What most women never learn is that this isn't a failure of attraction or emotion, it's chemistry. Estrogen doesn't just live in the body, it speaks directly to the brain. It's part of the delicate circuitry that helps the mind release dopamine, the wanting messenger, and serotonin, the one that helps us feel at peace enough to let pleasure in. When estrogen begins to fade, that effortless rhythm between calm and craving begins to falter. Desire doesn't vanish, but it hides, waiting for the right signal. Think of it this way. In your younger years, your brain and body danced together, one led, the other followed. But after menopause, the music changes. The same steps don't feel natural anymore. You may still crave closeness, yet the rhythm feels off. This isn't about your emotions or attraction, it's about your body's orchestra needing a new conductor. And estrogen used to be that invisible leader, keeping every note in tune. You might notice that it takes longer to get there, that you can still enjoy pleasure once you begin, but starting feels harder, as if the mind and body are out of sync. You might need more warmth, more time, more atmosphere. And that's not you being difficult. That's your brain waiting for a chemical invitation it no longer receives on its own. This is where I always tell my patients, your wanting button isn't broken, it just moved. Desire used to come first and lead to arousal. Now arousal must come first to awaken desire. Once the body starts to feel, the mind begins to remember. It's what we call responsive desire, pleasure that grows in layers, not lightning. So instead of waiting to feel in the mood, it's time to design the mood. Let the body start the conversation. Music, warmth, movement, touch that isn't rushed or goal-driven. Let your senses light up before you ask your brain to follow. And here's something I want you to keep in mind. When you restore your sleep, your mood, your stress balance, that quiet spark often reignites itself. Because the brain isn't only about hormones, it's about rest, peace, and imagination. So be patient with your mind. It's not saying no, it's waiting for you to lead. And when you do, when you finally give your brain that first gentle cue, you may notice something unexpected. The body starts to respond differently, more alive, more awake, more curious. Because the moment blood begins to flow and sensation stirs, pleasure stops being a memory and starts being a feeling again. But while the brain holds one key to desire, there's another gatekeeper much lower in the body, one you can't see, but you can feel. When estrogen falls, blood doesn't flow the same way, and without that flow, something begins to fade that most women never talk about: sensitivity. Stay with me, because what happens beneath the surface of the skin might be the most surprising change of all. Some women describe it softly, almost embarrassed. It's not that I don't enjoy it, it's that I barely feel it anymore. They search for words that don't sound ungrateful or broken, but what they're describing is something very real, and it has nothing to do with attraction, effort, or imagination. It has to do with blood. When estrogen falls, it doesn't just change mood or moisture, it changes circulation. That same hormone that once kept the face glowing and the skin supple also kept the most sensitive parts of the body richly supplied with blood. The clitoris, the vulva, the tissues that swell and pulse with arousal, they all depend on that constant rhythmic flow. Without it, sensation dulls, warmth fades, pleasure becomes a whisper where it used to be a song. The body begins to forget what fullness feels like. The clitoris, once plump and alive with nerves, can start to shrink ever so slightly. The surrounding tissue, no longer fed by steady oxygen and collagen, grows thinner and less reactive. What used to take moments of gentle touch now takes patience. What used to hum may now only murmur. And this can leave a woman wondering, is this it? Is this all that's left? But the truth is, this change isn't permanent. It's simply waiting for you to wake it back up. That's why arousal now requires more time, more consistency, more deliberate warmth. Think of it like tending a garden that hasn't seen rain in months. You can't flood it all at once. You water it slowly, steadily, until the roots remember how to drink. The same is true for arousal. A slow build, warmth on the inner thighs, steady breathing, gentle pressure brings blood back, drop by drop, until sensation begins to return. Some women find that using local estrogen, not pills but tiny creams or rings placed where the tissue needs it, helps restore that flow over time. It doesn't just soothe dryness, it reawakens the small vessels that bring oxygen and life back into the skin. Others use touch itself as medicine, consistent, rhythmic, mindful touch that invites circulation back home. And here's something beautiful. Even if sensitivity feels faint, your body still remembers what to do. Every heartbeat that increases with warmth, every sigh that releases tension, every moment of comfort sends a message to your nervous system. I am safe, I can feel again. Over weeks or months, those pathways rebuild. But here's where many women get caught. They finally start to feel again, but then something else interrupts: tension, fear, the worry that their body might leak, or ache, or tighten at the wrong moment. It's not physical numbness this time, it's emotional bracing. There's a kind of fear that lives quietly in the body, the kind that doesn't show on your face, but lives in your muscles. It's the fear of leaking when you laugh, sneeze, or let go too deeply during pleasure. It's the fear of pressure, heaviness, or discomfort that you can't quite name. And over time, that fear teaches the body a habit. It learns to clench when it should soften. The pelvic floor is the hidden cradle of your body's pleasure. It's the hammock of muscle that holds your bladder, your uterus, your bowels, and yes, the gateway of sensation itself. But when estrogen levels drop, the tissue that supports these muscles becomes thinner, weaker, less elastic. The urethra loses tone, the bladder becomes more sensitive. Suddenly, what used to feel like a flutter of excitement can feel like a warning: don't move too much, don't push too far. And so, without realizing it, you begin to brace, just a little at first, a subtle tightening, a small hold in the breath. But those tiny reflexes become habits. The body begins to associate intimacy with control, not release, and pleasure, which depends on openness and flow, can't move through a clenched space. It's like trying to play music through a muted instrument. The notes are there, but the sound is trapped. Some women notice it during orgasm, that their muscles grip but can't release fully, or that a wave that once rolled through their body now feels blocked halfway. Others feel a dull ache afterward, or a kind of emotional frustration they can't explain. These are all whispers from the pelvic floor, asking not for strength but for coordination and surrender. This is why traditional Kegels for strength aren't always the answer. For many women after 60, it's not about tightening, it's about relearning how to relax. Pelvic floor physical therapy, gentle breathing, and mindful movement can retrain these muscles to let go when it's time. Because when the floor softens, blood flows more freely, and the body finally has space to feel again. Local estrogen can also play a quiet role here. When used around the vaginal or urethral tissue, it helps restore thickness and moisture, easing the friction that can cause discomfort or urgency. Even small improvements in comfort can ripple into desire, because when you're not bracing against pain or fear, the mind can finally wander toward pleasure again. I often tell my patients, when your floor is tense, pleasure has no room, and that's the truth. Desire doesn't live in a clenched body. It lives in the spaces where breath moves easily, where you can exhale without worrying what might happen next. That's where the spark begins to flicker back to life, not in control but in safety. And yet, even if the body learns to relax, there's another thief that can drain your energy, your curiosity, and your mood, the one that creeps in when the nights grow restless and the sleep disappears. Stay with me, because next we'll uncover how broken sleep quietly steals desire, and how fixing your nights can bring your spark back by day. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't go away with coffee or naps. It's the weariness that settles into the bones after too many nights of tossing, turning, sweating, and waking up before dawn. Many women after 60 describe it as being alive but not fully present. And when your body is that tired, desire doesn't disappear, it simply doesn't have the energy to rise. Low estrogen doesn't only affect the intimate parts of your body, it reaches into the thermostat that lives deep in your brain. That's why hot flashes and night sweats become so unpredictable. They jolt you awake just when your body is trying to rest, leaving you half asleep, half alert, night after night. Over time, that broken rhythm steals something precious, the calm, unhurried energy that desire needs to bloom. Think of sleep as your emotional reset button. When estrogen fades, that button gets stuck. Instead of drifting into deep rest, your body stays half on guard, half overheated. You might wake up drenched or anxious, and by morning, even small things feel heavier. This kind of fatigue seeps into everything: concentration, laughter, patience, and yes, pleasure. Because how can your body crave something as luxurious as arousal when it's busy trying to survive another day on empty? When I talk to my patients about libido, we often begin with sleep. It surprises them at first. They expect a conversation about hormones or relationships, not bedtime. But the truth is, when your nights are peaceful, your brain begins to repair. The chemicals that control mood and reward, dopamine, serotonin, rebalance, and when those systems calm, curiosity and sensuality have room to return. Sometimes the first step isn't in the bedroom at all. It's in cooling the room before bed, choosing breathable sheets, setting a ritual that tells your body it's safe to rest. Some women find help in treating vasomotor symptoms, whether through gentle behavioral changes, non-hormonal options, or medical guidance if needed. When hot flashes fade and nights stretch longer, they often wake up to a quiet miracle. The mind feels lighter, and the body feels awake in ways it hasn't for years. This kind of renewal doesn't arrive with a sudden burst, it creeps in gently. A morning where you notice your reflection looks softer, an evening when touch feels easier to receive, a day when laughter comes back without effort. That's the language of balance returning. I like to say, fix the night and you invite back the day, because desire is not just a spark, it's a rhythm. When the body rests, the rhythm begins again. When the body feels safe, warmth follows. And when the warmth returns, so does the curiosity to feel, to explore, to connect. But even when sleep improves and your mood begins to lift, there's still one more reason why pleasure can feel out of reach, one that hides quietly in the very fabric of your body. Not in your hormones, not in your nerves, but in the way your skin and joints move when you touch, stretch, or open. Stay with me, because what happens next might change the way you think about how your body feels and how it could feel again. Sometimes the barrier to pleasure isn't in the mind, or the hormones, or even the mood. It's in the body's quiet stiffness, the little aches that make you shift in your seat, the hips that no longer open as easily, the back that tenses when you try to move closer. These aren't just the aches of age, they're the echoes of estrogen slowly stepping back. Estrogen doesn't only shape desire, it keeps your tissues supple and your joints cushioned. When its levels fall, collagen production slows and the body's flexibility begins to change. Muscles tighten faster, connective tissue stiffens, and recovery from even small strain takes longer. And when movement itself becomes uncomfortable, pleasure, that flowing physical sensation, begins to fade, not because you don't want it, but because your body is whispering ouch before your mind even has a chance to say yes. This kind of stiffness is subtle. It's not the sharp pain of an injury, it's the quiet resistance that creeps in over time. You might notice that certain positions feel awkward, that you tense up more quickly, or that your sessions end sooner because comfort disappears before curiosity does. These are the body's small ways of saying, I need care before I can feel again. The solution isn't to push harder, it's to move gentler. Warmth, stretching, softness, and support. Before intimacy, think of it as preparing a landscape. A warm bath, a heating pad, gentle stretching, or even a few minutes of slow breathing can awaken circulation in the hips and lower back. Pillows under the knees, cushions under the hips. These aren't signs of limitation, they're signs of listening. When the body feels supported, the nervous system relaxes and blood can move freely again. I often remind my patients that comfort is not the opposite of passion, it's the foundation of it. The more supported your body feels, the freer your pleasure becomes. When muscles ease, the mind follows, and suddenly touch becomes less about effort and more about curiosity. You start to explore again, not chasing old sensations, but discovering new ones in the body you have today. And something beautiful happens when you do. The old spark you thought was gone doesn't come roaring back like fire. It glows quietly at first, a warmth that spreads through awareness, through breath, through movement. That's your body remembering how to trust itself again. Because this entire journey, through dryness, through fatigue, through numbness and stiffness, is not about fixing a broken body, it's about listening to one that's been waiting for your attention. Low estrogen changes many things, yes, but what it cannot take away is your body's ability to respond to care, to touch, to warmth, to love. So tonight, move slowly, breathe deeper, find one small way to remind your body that it's still yours, still capable of softness, still capable of joy. And if something in this conversation feels true for you, share it below, because every time a woman speaks openly about her body, another woman somewhere feels a little less alone and a little more alive.